Yeah, I anticipated Sintolol leading off here with Odd Paladin. It just does not have a super strong matchup or a vital matchup on the other side of the board here. So if Sintolol could manage to snag a win in this matchup, it's not impossible, it's very difficult, but it's not impossible. If he can manage to snag a win in this matchup, he's going to be very well set in this series. But if he can't manage a win here, you know, he's going to have to answer back and then leave it up to the cards at that point.
But that, as you're hinting at there, that's why you lead off with it most of the time. You lead off with the deck that looks like it's going to struggle. You get the maximum information out of that deck. You're not throwing it away, it's going to lose anyway. You're buying yourself a lot of information, and then you can set up your counter queuing accordingly and try and reverse it at some point.
And big yikes, that is a double Defile and a Dread Infernal on the other side of the board. Those cards tend to be some of the most impactful ones against Odd Paladin because it allows you so many opportunities to sweep your opponent's board when they're moving into one of those big buff turns. I'm thinking Level Up, I'm thinking Fungalmancer. That's where Defile shines, is it can help shut down those turns that deliver that massive push.
Yeah, and having the Twilight Drake to go alongside it is also very important. One way you can lose as the Warlock against the Paladin, if you have lots of removal, is by you remove things, they make things. You remove things, they play things. You remove things, they play things. And then eventually you don't kill them, and the Paladin just sort of overruns you.
Yeah.
So having those Twilight Drakes in hand, and now the Giant as well, you just take one turn out to play a threat, and then you clear their board, and then you just hit them 3 times and they die from it.
Yeah, it's really important here that Sintolol needs to try to keep a 1 health minion off a board for a bit until he can find a turn to push. Because the other secondary thing that happens is, as Flamekilla moves into his important turns, you can take them off of playing minions and pushing back, so you get more time to develop. You kind of overload their AoE in a certain regard. And when you're able to do that, it really makes a big difference. So Sinto sets Flamekilla to 16 here. There's no full clear on board. There's a raid leader plus an Acarus veteran in hand. Like, this is a big push that's about to come up, and he's going to be able to follow that by reloading the board as well.
Yeah, and we should never forget how good Sintolol is at hitting people in the face. That was his trademark when he was getting the maximum number of points out of everything in 2017 in particular. He was just Pirate Warrior God.
Yeah, Pirate Warrior is great. I love that.
But he knows how to really get the most out of all of these aggro decks. It's not quite as simple as just hit them in the face till they die from it, but he does that incredibly well.
You got to time that pressure. And so now the scary thing for Sintolol, looking at the Twilight Drake that's on board, is can your opponent taunt this up? So Sun Fury becomes a real worry at this point. But I don't know if he's going to be able to pay too much heed to that. Of course, I say that, he coins out.
Yeah.
The 1/5 poison, I mean...
Well, that's going to allow him to equalize the board and then reload it on the same turn. I was saying how the Warlock needs a threat to back up their AoE. Well, Sinto has negated that threat, so he's going to be able to reload onto an apparently empty board a lot of the time here. And that's if Flamekilla can even do anything about this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this turn from Flamekilla's side, and I'm thinking that this is a giant trade Defile turn, and hope that you have enough gas in the tank to get past it at that point.
Yep.
The problem is it's very dangerous. You know, you're going to fall to, you know, just look at the board. It's only a couple points of life, but, you know, you're thinking about Leroy, you're thinking about Blessings, you're thinking about the Mauls that can buff up this board, you're thinking about Fungalmancer. A lot of things go through your head, and if you end up playing a Giant and then trade into a 4/1 and Defile, you're giving up your Giant in that situation as well.
There's this very fine line with your Giants between not playing them at all, which is disastrous, and getting them down and then being ignored, and you just get slapped around for a load more damage.
Oh, this is cool. So this allows him to take a little bit more damage off the board, and it still does the same thing. In my head, for whatever reason, it was an impossibility to attack it voluntarily into a poisonous minion. But that's the play that actually gets the most done on board and puts Sinto in that spot where, you know, Flamekilla can turn the corner very quickly and start pushing back.
He can, and he needs to, and he probably will. However, he's got enough, actually. He's got a bit of health gain. He's got removal. Should be okay.
A lot of good stuff. Defile really is the critical card, and it's because of the mana considerations of it. You know, you need cheap removal. Hellfire is an okay card against the deck, but it's really the Defile that makes the big difference. And Sinto's been, I think, quite wise to use his Stonehills in the way he has, you know, searching for big impact taunts. You know, I'm thinking Sunkeeper Tarim could be in that mix, you know, just also getting a 1/4 body in the way, not vulnerable to Defile and what have you. But this is why that Dread Infernal is so important as well. It sweeps out the board, and you're staring at 14 across.
And look at what Sintolol did last turn. He used no resources to set up a load of ways to get the level ups or the raid leaders down behind them and force more AoE. Now, unfortunately for him, the Dread Infernal just did that job. But if he forced another Defile or Hellfire, things would have been nearly over the other way.
And Sintolol's got to think about, you know, top deck potentials here too. You know, it's getting pretty close to getting out of control on board. If there's one more AoE spell on Flamekilla side, you're not going to have anything left. And so
I think you play as if he hasn't got one, honestly.
I think that's a possibility as well. But you know, you want to think about everything across the board. So second Defile here would sweep out the Giant as well. So, you know, start to cut into that damage a little bit.
It is these spell stones that are going to be the real sticking point for Sintolol, though. He's still got ways to do this. If he can draw the weapon and then play level up the turn after, that's a way of getting a bunch of 3/3s with Taunt hanging around.
I'm just looking at the time. I mean, you know, Hooked Reaver's about to hit.
I think because the Giant is going to get taken care of here,
It's another,
he's got a little bit of time.
It's a 7/7 being added though. Like the bind cleaver now is just dead.
It is a lot.
There's no Stonehills left in the deck to block damage, and I think that's probably the turning point right there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Flamekilla's got AoE to back it up. He's got Spellstone to heal, and Sintolol's got nothing to get on board in a substantial way.
Yeah, the Fungomancer gives him sort of a final death throw, but it's almost certainly not going to be enough. These Spellstones will enable the healing. Obviously, the Hellfires are still available when needed, and you've got two monstrous minions hitting Sinto in the face.
Yeah, face is almost certainly the place in this regard. And if I'm in Flamekilla's spot, you know, you take a look at the deck on the side from Sintolol. There's no silences in here. There's no way to actually push through anything. To me, this feels like a pretty clear just Hellfire situation, but he doesn't want to give up the 6/3, just pushes some damage. Threatens lethal both ways.
Yeah, seems good.
It's fine as well.
Must stress that Sinto queued this deck first up because it was likely to not get any wins in this match, so he did get this information. He now knows how to proceed with his counter queuing and see what he can get done. But obviously 1-0 down is not fun, but if you're going to go 1-0 down, go 1-0 down with information and lose the deck that was your weakest in the matchup.
Yep, spreading dudes is not quite the same as Mossy Horror is on the other side regardless. So that's going to be game one over to Flamekilla here.
Spreading dudes.
Got stomped. 2 Defiles.
Yeah, Defiles will do it. There's still the Hellfire backup there. And that's it. Flamekilla taking 1-0 lead and just continuing how he started the day, just going straight through his opponent.
Fairly expected result still, I'd say. But now Sinto's got to answer back. And again, I think he often anticipates a game deficit here. Just got to turn it back around. So what's the best way to fight off against this even Warlock right now is question number 2.
Well, he's left with the Hunter or the Mirror. That's all he's got available. You don't want the Mirror if you can help it.
I think that you want...
Yeah.
I like the Mirror. I like the Mirror. I think it's fun. I think it's rumbly and tumbly, and it's not all about the Mountain Giants. I hear so many people tell me, oh, the Mountain Giant on 3. It's like, yeah, no. I mean, sure, the Mountain Giant's really good, but...
Tell you what, I'll play you. I'll start with the Mountain Giant on 3. We'll
we'll
have 100 reps for that.
Percentage-wise, it's not entirely about the Mountain Giant. Like, you look at Sintolol's even Warlock deck, and he does have a copy of the Black Knight as we roll into game number 2. Like, that's really the big tech choice, I think, that can spell a large difference in this one. Is so often the cards go even. And when it goes even, it's the big swings at the end of the game that make the big difference. Yeah. And so Lich King tends to dominate as you move towards that endgame spot. If you can get any board presence and nail a Black Knight into a Lich King, that is all but said and done at that point.
I remember at Dreamhack, I believe it was Dreamhack Summer, so obviously the meta's changed a little, but Sifka kept Gul'dan in his opener in the Mirror.
See him just hovering it around?
Yeah. And the thing with Sifka keeping the Gul'dan, I think it was concluded in the end that it wasn't correct, but the discussion was, well, you both got 10 cards. The chance of you having 2 Giants and me having 1 because of this 1 card keep isn't actually that great. You cancel each other out so well. The discussion revolved around that. The point being that what you'll say about the Giants, yeah, you just cancel each other.
All right, so now we have entered a bit of a dangerous territory for Sintolol. When you're the player going when you're the player going first, you don't have access to the first Mountain Giant.
Right.
So that is a strike against you. But secondarily, if your opponent has Mountain Giant, they have a potential to follow up on your Twilight Drake with a Spellbreaker as well. And so chipping away at the Giant becomes much less realistic in that scenario when you take it into totality. And Sintolol here chose to go with the 2/4 over the Acidic Swamp Ooze. And honestly, I'm a little bit surprised by that because he doesn't have a Spellstone in hand, but he is accounting for the fact that a lot of times damage is going to get pushed. And now that a Mountain Giant gets picked up on his side, you know, things are a bit more equalized now.
Something else that equalizes it a little bit is Flamekiller's tech of the Doomsayer, which is great if you're trying to get the tempo in your favor. But when you've actually got it in your favor automatically, then it doesn't actually do a great deal.
Another thing to consider, Flamekilla is teched in a copy of Demonic Project, which is, you know, not strong in the mirror match.
No,
does have a Shadow Flame, though. Shadow Flame can play a big role. And, you know, talking about the Doomsayer, that took a place of one of the Sun Fury Protectors, which I think Sun Fury Protector is an extremely key card in a lot of the later game scenarios where, you know, things start to get a little, you know, ugly.
Yeah, you try and protect your one big minion that you have left behind something else a lot of the time, or two something else's, and the Sun Fury can be a big deal there for sure.
The other thing I'm looking at here, too, is the double Spellstone in Flamekilla's hand. That card is so important for buying tempo later on.
Your magic shall not
Sinto here, going to take it a little bit slower and just run over the Mountain Giant. It says, you know what, if you want to threaten my life total, go ahead. And that's a scary proposition for Flamekilla when you just decide to go straight into the life total. If your opponent responds to killing your Mountain Giant and then plays a Hooked Reaver, you're in a lot of trouble in that kind of spot.
And that's what you're saying. Sintolol hasn't got to have those worries because he's got the Black Knight. He can just, yeah, you've got a Hook Reaver, I've got a Black Knight.
It's more the threat of the power here is really a substantial part of that power. But this is a nice play from Flamekilla here. You're going to coin out, you're going to Spellstone, and the Giant connects for 8 points of damage. So this is the scary part about this, is Flamekilla had Spellstone to be able to make aggressive pushes, and Sintolol now starting to fall behind.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have the Reaver. Not that it would help him much, like you say, with the Spellstone and the Spellbreaker.
You know, I look at the turn with the Twilight Drake on the silence and the value trade. I'm not sold that Sintolol needed the value trade there. You know, you offset and you offset and you offset until you find your big edge. Sinto's big edge is the Black Knight being able to wipe out a Lich King in a timely manner. And I think him going for that value trade could have been perhaps a bit too greedy in this situation.
Still alive, though, and we've seen already today how being still alive is incredibly important in Hearthstone. We have seen people going down so low on health and fighting back, particularly Sayun in that quarterfinal.
The Hellfire Johnny says barely alive.
Oh, yeah, but he is alive. That's the point.
I don't know if he really is, but he is, but he isn't, but he is.
Where did I become the optimist in any relationship?
I don't, you know, that's a great question, but something I'm looking at for Flamekilla here, too, is the setup for the next turn. I don't think this is as simple as just silence the Twilight Drake and go ahead. I think there's some real merit to considering playing a Doomsayer in this spot. And it looks wacky, but what you have to look at is the fact that this is going to be clear skies coming into his turn, and he gets to develop initiative going into Sintolol's turn number 8. So he's going to be the first one with a minion down in this situation. Doesn't matter if Sinto trades or not. Denies Hooked Reaver in this spot. Denies any realistic play other than heal for 4. I think this is a great use of that Doomsayer to buy back initiative 100% of the time.
I'm processing what you're saying, and it sounds good, looks good, but Sintolol gets turn 8 onto the turn 7. And that's a big deal, especially with Black Knight in hand. It depends how Flamekilla decides to use this turn 7. I don't think he can make a play that is particularly terrifying that Sintolol can't deal with.
I do agree with that. I mean, I will say that I think it's a lot better to use Doomsayer leading into your own turn 8 as Flamekilla, because he's off the coin, because he's used the coin to take advantage of the mid stage. So it's not quite as good as I think it could be, but he's got Bone Mare to follow that up. So any minion he plays, if Sinto plays anything big, you Bone Mare, you smash that. You look ahead.
Join that Twilight Drake's a big deal, I think. The other options didn't look that great, but Twilight Drake looked pretty good. So does Gen. Gen's nice and safe, just threatening the lethal, obviously. And Spellbreaker in hand. Oh, and that one way of stopping the Spellbreaker.
Wow, massive pickup. I mean, Sinto was going to die.
Still got the Spellstone, though.
What is the Spellstone 7?
I believe so.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, that's dead.
And Flamekilla, he's not just Flamekiller, he's everybody killer so far today. He's 2-0 up against one of the best known players in the world. And he's looking good for it as well. That Doomsayer play you highlighted did get that tempo in his favor.
Yep, and the other thing to look at again is the value trade instead of the direct trade with the Mountain Giant. You do take a risk when you make a play like that. And Sinto paid a big price with that afterwards. You know, I'm not entirely recalling my head of situation of how the Twilight Drake will potentially snowball in that situation, but you're silencing it outright. So, you know, at best, it's dealing you 4 points of damage.
Yeah, and 8's a lot more than 4.
Yeah, the thing is, he's trying to snag back initiative in some degrees. That's what the aggressive fight is about, and I commend him for that. But I think that with Black Knight in hand, he just has better opportunities, is my personal opinion.
Yeah, that was his trump card. And in fact, actually, the card that I was saying it might be a disadvantage for Flamekilla because of how the game panned out. It's very good if you don't get the Giants down first. Yeah. That Doomsayer, he actually used it to win the game.
I think that Doomsayer is a very useful tool, more so in the mirror, actually, than like in most aggro matchups. You know, so many aggro matchups run Void Ripper, and a Doomsayer is like a way to lose the game against them.
Down to the Hunter.
Just good use of the card. Flamekilla, you know, it looks a lot easier when you got a Giant or two, but...
Yeah, and again, I was saying earlier that even Warlock is a very difficult deck, even to this day, to evaluate really, really carefully, because despite the swathes of data on it, it still comes down to can you get a Giant or not so often. I know you don't like that line of thinking.
I just don't think it's right. I think Giants make the games easy. I think that the other games are winnable.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing that at all. My point being, you've got to work out what percentage of other games you need to win to make it a good deck. And it's obviously a good deck. It's won countless Hearthstone tournaments, but the scale is still argued. But then we're still arguing about Warrior versus Hunter, and that's been played countless times on stream.
Well, let's argue about some Hunter versus even Warlock. I think this matchup, you know, Sintolol, I used to play it in a fashion where I would try to kill everything my opponent had. You know, you don't always get egg starts and then blast into Shaw and then have a cube afterwards. When that's the case, how do you fight back from these behind situations? Two of the big cards that come to my mind, number one is Spider Bomb, and number two is Houndmaster Shaw. You know, Houndmaster Shaw gives you a lot of leverage for fighting on board and really generating a lot of tempo from it. Sintolol goes for the Spider Bomb here, again, trying to disrupt a big Giant play. But this is a situation where Doomsayer starts to look a little bit better.
This is why it's in the deck, for these exact spots.
You know, and I think Sintolol here is still in an okay spot, but you have to worry about this Spider Bomb just getting taken out and just not having adequate follow-up. You know, if Sintolol chooses to try to preserve this Spider Bomb, he loses Hunter's Mark, but he gets board development.
Yeah, he does, and I think he's going to. I really wanted to see this happen. Just shows how important tempo is in Hearthstone. For those of you who haven't played much Hearthstone, this is how it goes. This Spider Bomb's going to kill a thing anyway, so you don't need the Hunter's Mark. I mean, you'd like to have both.
That's the ideal situation.
You can only have one or the other. You choose the one that stays on the board.
Yeah, like the way that Sinto's hand's panning out, Flamekilla, you know, still feels under threat sometimes. And so, you know, sometimes you do see a Hellfire here. Sometimes you see like a Spellbreaker or what have you. When those happen, Sintolol's free to play Houndmaster Shaw and then try to get a big pickup. You know, picture drawing cube after that Houndmaster Shaw. That is like the dream draw where he gets back into it using Deathstalker Rexar.
And if he doesn't, he plays the Houndmaster Shaw, it gets dealt with, and you Rexar onto a non-behind board, which is, you're not going to kill anything against Evenlock with your Rexar. So
very rare.
One of the best things you can do, unless you've somehow got the initiative, which you rarely have, you're not built that way, is just to do it on an empty board and then react with your hero power.
And none of the plays here are looking super strong for Flamekilla.
Rexar's going to be important here as well, because Geist is going to take some of the sting out of the Hunter.
So it's one of the reasons you use the Hunter's Mark on the Doomsayer as well.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, no point hanging on to it forever.
Can't save it for next game.
Yeah, you can try. Coming soon to a card game near you.
It often seems like they do.
Yeah.
Play dead, nice draw, gets the Shaw, gets the push. Flamekilla suddenly under pressure, and this board's looking mighty murdery on Sintolol's side.
And it's all come from Hunter's marking a Doomsayer, rather than just letting your 2/2 die.
Played super hard for tempo, and perhaps is going to be handsomely rewarded for his effort.
Crowd are impressed.
They're definitely cheering for Hearthstone.
And I don't think Flamekilla's had many hard situations like this all day. He's played well, but he's not had anything where he's really been put to the test.
I am quite curious last turn about the 2/4 and then the lack of acidic swamp ooze in that spot. You know, killing a candle shot on Sintolol's side is not really paramount importance.
Especially when the Hunter's Marks are going to either be gone. One's gone already, and the other one's going soon.
Life tap is a very important mechanism to be using, but every single time you have an odd turn come up, you're going to be able to life tap. And when you have coin, you don't necessarily have an odd cost turn until you use it. So I look at that situation, I wonder, you know, 3-2 could have made a pretty big difference in how this board ended up panning out.
Right, bit of decision for Sinto now. How good is my hero power?
Is it?
It's not good enough. Yeah, it's always a decision to give up your hero power against a deck that's hurting itself, I think. It's not a hard one necessarily. I like my Rexar. I wanted Rexar as far back as turn 3 into the Shore situation, but I've seen players in big events decide to hold back on playing Rexar so they continue the pressure, and that those 2+2+2, there isn't that much healing in the Warlock deck. It can make it awkward. But this situation, with the tempo on your side, obviously, start building dem beasts. There's one. Checks to see if he's got a beast in play to look at the Timberwolf.
Well, you're sizing up the board, right? You know, it's pretty rare that I say this, but I think Emerald Hive Queen's a take.
Yeah?
That's 3 charge damage if he wants it. It's a 4/5 if you take the Croc. 4/6, I'm sorry, if you take the Croc.
How does it interfere with his next turn? Hardly at all, I guess. Interferes with your crush turn, though, if it doesn't get removed.
Sinto doesn't give a Croc here.
Here he comes.
Play the tech, play the charge, full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a potential to trade here, actually. This is really important. So Sintolol being able to trade off these 2 protects that Shaw even further, and that's a very vital mechanism right now.
Yeah, not wanting to give the easy Hellfire, so...
Yeah, that's wise. I almost slipped up there. I was about to ship 9 face if I'm in Sinto's seat.
It's tempting.
It's not right, but it's tempting.
And this is what we were saying earlier about him being a great aggressive player, is that he doesn't just hit it into the face every
Slow
single
down.
turn.
Take your time, figure it out.
Sometimes you just have to make that sacrifice of trading.
I feel like against Even Warlock, you know, one of the reasons why I spent so much time trying to learn this deck is I was very inefficient against it as well.
Yes.
And becoming proficient on Even Warlock, you really start to understand where its weaknesses are at. Its weaknesses are that it has very limited ways to swing board positions. So if you can really fight them aggressively in those turns where they're going to be doing that, that's where you end up finding most of your edge. So Flamekilla here throws away the Ooze.
Not going to matter.
Keep out the Shaw. I think very important, but Katharina gets drawn. Massive draw for Sinto. That is probably lights out.
Yeah, it was already looking a bit grim for Flamekilla, but deal with this lot and King Crush coming in behind.
No way.
Even I'm not going to defend this one.
That's just not how it works.
Not how any of it works.
2 off the board. 10 still sitting there. And the big crush is going to bring this to game number 4. Sintolol puts a point on the board and stops Flamekilla's reign of 3-0ing people with the same deck.
Yeah, he's going to have to actually play something else. He's played Odd Rogue, he's now played Even Warlock, and now he's going to have to go to dig deep into the rest of his lineup.
Taking a look at what's back behind. Malagos Druid and Odd Warrior are the 2 decks. Malagos Druid, that looks like a great matchup for Sinto. Odd Warrior, however, I am in the Warrior is favored camp.
So I am, depending who's playing the decks. I think it's very important. I think if you go and check out replay statistics, you'll see that Hunter's fairly well favored, if not very favored. But that's because the Hunter side is much easier to play. You get Rexar, you make some things, you shuffle some things back in, you don't run out of cards, you win the game.
I think some of it has to do with the difference in ladder dynamic and tournament dynamic as well. You know, when you're playing on ladder, a number of hunters that you face are going to be secret hunters.
Yes.
So you tend to think to yourself, yeah, maybe I need to be able to check some early aggression. The other thing, too, is you don't always bring the same tools on ladder that you're going to bring. As we head into game number 4 here, you know, I'm looking at a Baron Geddon teched in the list, an Azalina that's teched in the list, a Fiery War Axe that's teched into the list. These are not cards that you typically see in ladder scenarios. The deck is much more lean because there's a much wider range of matchups. In tournaments, you tend to expect certain kinds of decks.
I do feel that the Warrior gets punished more for mistakes than the Hunter does. The Hunter's got a very wide range of things it can do without actually losing the game. If the Warrior uses the wrong card at the wrong time, which is why I think it's favoured at the top level of play, because they don't do that, I think the Warrior's favoured. Going to find out if Flamekilla is one of those players or not right now.
And notice Sintolol doesn't use the tracking in this spot, and I think this is very wise. Most of the time in this matchup, Deathstalker Rexar tends to be, you know, one of, if not the most important card in the matchup. You know, Katharina still's got a big argument there. If you end up drawing Rexar by turn 6, you don't want to use tracking anymore. You want to have time to continue to build beasts and leverage that value to run your opponent out of steam.
The fun comes after turn 6 when you sit in a group of pro players all saying, when should he tracking? Should he do it now? Should he not? And nobody ever agrees. It's great. They all have a different timing for it. But you definitely don't do it in the first 6 turns, because what's the hurry? It's the only card you're after. It messes up your Katharina. It gives you fewer turns. To the point where people just shuffle things back in with the Raptor a lot of the time.
And kind of look at how big of a role just this Fiery War Axe has played. It's taken Sintolol off of an easy 3-drop. It's taken him off of easy development. He just has to make a sacrifice to this Fiery War Axe and say, here you go, Fiery War Axe gods. I need to play something.
I made all these sacrifices in 2016. I'm cashing them in today at Dreamhack. I do think it's also understated how much the fiddling about matters from the hunter side. The warrior just runs you out of resources when it wins.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, oh no, it's War Axe killed an irrelevant-looking minion. No, you need those repeated 2 damage, those repeated 3 damage. It's really important. Because come the end of the game, the warrior, if Rexar's somewhere in the middle of the deck, the warrior get down to sort of 10-ish. And you're down to 1 or 2 cards-ish. And you're wishing, why didn't that hit for 6 more early in the game?
And I'll tell you what, normally where 4th Beast is concerned, I am a charged Devilsaur kind of gamer. But Savannah Highmane, tends to stack up pretty well against Warrior. It's the fact that it's so demanding of attention. It's just a lot of actions that have to clear it out. If you can secure Savannah Highmane while you have another threat, it is absolutely dominating where the board position is concerned. And so, taking that into account, really for Flamekilla, step number 1 is start checking pressure. Step number 2, though, is that Azalina that's in hand. So many times Sintolol, if he finds Rexar, is going to have a hand full of valuable beasts. Perhaps that's a way Flamekilla can continue to check that Deathstalker Rexar and find himself favorable at the end of the game.
Flamekilla has Dr. Boom in hand, as you can see for yourselves. The timing of when to play that is also interesting. The amount of value he gets over the course of the game is gigantic. But the armor's so helpful when you start getting hit with massive Hydras and things later on. So maybe he'll wait, maybe he won't. And there we go, Highmane versus nothing. And this is where the game gets going.
Yep. I'm worried.
You worried?
For Flamekilla. I'm worried for Sinto, too. I'm just worried.
I'm always worried.
Sinto doesn't look worried.
Sinto never looks worried. He sometimes sounds like he's been worried, but only for about 2 seconds.
Flamekilla doesn't look worried either. He's
been cool.
He's been a calm cookie.
Really has.
All right, now the moment of truth approaches. Sense of tracking.
Now, straight after turn 6, goes straight for that tracking.
Wow. That's a choice I'm glad I'm not faced with, because I want to blow up this Elise, but at the same time, I want to make some Devilsaur eggs.
And you don't mind killing Super Colliders?
No.
Just the 3rd card's pretty good. I think Devilsaur Egg may well be the key to this one, actually.
I'd be curious to see how Sinto plays this. Favoring tempo I don't think is a bad idea.
Here we go. Here's a whole bunch of that tempo you're talking about.
Ah, positioning. Ah, Super Collider.
Yeah.
Ah! He found it. The big one in the middle, because that's the one they have to hit if they want to take out the most stuff. And right now, it's not taking out any stuff, and so.
And it's something I hadn't noticed until just then, but old Sinto used to play turbo fast, and he is just taking a few seconds quite often today.
Nice little turn here, though, the Reckless Flurry.
Yeah.
Bada bing, bada boom.
And Super Collider. It didn't matter anyway. All that thought for nothing.
Yeah, so it got handled very nicely, and now Sinto. Well, this is a big turn. This is a very big deal right now. Flamekilla does not have a way to answer this King Crushing hand, and Cube just got drawn.
Next turn, he's got everything he could do with this.
There's no big game hunter in the deck.
Wow.
Owl doesn't do it.
Is that just it?
Holy smokes.
And he doesn't know what he's facing, so he may not even...
Well, is he willing to take that risk right now? I mean, I'm
is he willing not to?
I'm wanting to brawl. I can see the hand.
I mean, he can tank up and go to 28.
Flamekilla can't see Sinto's hand.
He can choose to go to 28 if he wants to, but that would just be assuming the worst for no reason. No, he's not going to bother.
This is it.
Good luck, everyone.
Whoa, baby.
Winning the brawl.
And look at that face. That is a classic Sintolol. Yep, sometimes kind of face right there. Cube, play dead, terror scale stalker, game number 5.
1 to go. And Sinto has had a few of those go his way in this tournament, and it's overdue. He's had so many of those things go against him over the last year or two.
Oh my gosh.
He's had 2 or 3 of those go his way in this tournament, and that means he's going to have 1 game to see if he can get to the final.
One big unchecked thing. Game over.
Yeah. Send water, system working. And Flamekilla, he's just going to put it into his head that he made that decision for the right reasons.
But now he's got to face off against Death Rattle Hunter with Malagos Druid in the 5th game. And this is like really what last year's standing is all about. It's about your lineup being built to get to a game 5 in a favorable position.
This is why you open with Paladin.
If Sintolol had tried to open with a stronger deck, he might not have found himself in this spot.
Yeah, he's taking a chance. The Paladins, for sake of reduction, always going to lose. So he threw it out there to the Wolves to see where he stood. How am I going to win this 2 versus 3 matchup? What's my plan? And as it happens, it didn't necessarily go to plan, but now he finds himself in a great position.
Flamekilla had 3-0'd with Odd Rogue leading up to this. Had a great start, but now Sinto's 2-0 on Death Rattle Hunter thus far. Is the fate that Flamekilla put out in the world destined to be held to him by Sintolol?
This is going to be a short one, I feel, because Flamekilla's got the startings of the ramp and Sintol's got the startings of hitting you really, really hard.
So something that I have noticed for me personally against Death Rattle Hunter when I'm playing Malagos Druid is that Arcane Tyrants, plural S, are quite vital to buying time.
Right.
Right now, there's a Flamekilla's got an Arcane Tyrant, but the rest of the hand is completely disjointed. Double Moonfire, double Spellstone.
And this isn't the matchup for those cards.
No.
It's just not the one. Sometimes if you play against Paladin, maybe you can make some use of them. Oh, wow.
And I don't know about you, Lorinda, but I'm not an egg popper kind of player.
Not usually. I don't rule it out. I'm not one of these guys who does it one way all the time, because there are definitely a time and a place for it, depending on what you've seen in mulligans and such like. But in general, if I had to pick yes or no and tell you, I'm a no. I'm a show me the card.
Right now, it's a big no. A Coin Tyrant it is. Oh my, that tells Sinto a lot about Flamekilla's hand.
Yeah.
There was no Nourish.
That's the most important thing.
Doesn't have a Spreading Plague coming up for a free Tyrant. Perhaps Branching Pass isn't even there, and Sinto just goes, yeah, I'll just slow it down. Spider Bomb, go. It's pretty tough to get, genuine good use out of that card. And another big card picked up here for Flamekilla.
I've always said with Druid you should trust your deck, but if Flamekilla is trusting his deck, it's being betrayed right now, that trust. Nothing is happening for him at all. And starting next turn, Sinto starts to amass the pressure. Oh, Egg Killer.
Well, the intent of it is to kill the egg on the follow-up, and so
Moonfire is going to be used.
This is typically like the only time that you can kill an egg is when you can kill the 5/5 immediately as well. But that's everything used.
And he's 5 turns away from Ultimate Infestation. 5 Druid turns away. That's like 12 normal turns.
By the way, Sinto just has another egg. But he's also got a Witchwood Grizzly that's a 3/9. How often is this 3/9 versus Druid?
It sticks around for a while, that's for sure. And Sinto's 3/9 is better than your 3/9 because of Hunter's Mark.
Also because of Cube.
Yeah.
Also because you have minions in your deck as Sintolol. Like, Flamekilla's deck's a combo deck.
It's a nothing deck at the moment. What's he doing?
And when Sinto sees that, start to look up and go, hang on a second, what's going on here?
Yeah, there aren't 4 Druid cards that he can't play, are there? And they are. There they are. He probably expects double UI.
Yeah, you're thinking UIs in hand. Malagos, Alexstrasza, Lich King. You're thinking Malfurion. You're thinking Dream Petal Florist. I think we ruled out Spreading Plague with
got
Tyrant turn.
A wealth of options. Yeah, you did. You ruled out Spreading Plague unless you top decked it.
This is not good for Flamekilla. Sintolol free to pressure how he wants to right now. And now a Shaw sticks to the board.
Yeah, he knows it's sticking, so why not get it down there? Make your next turn a fantastic one. Branching Paths will probably cycle Flamekilla to something that he needs if he wants to go that route. He's looking at just playing the Florist for the sake of a minion.
Makes a faceless 0. I mean, that's something.
Yeah.
But it's not really anything.
I think I've skipped a turn and Branching Path there. Just try and get myself a card that does something, because this is just getting to get mowed down.
I think he's just trying. I think that's what he's hoping for, is that it gets mowed down. I don't think Sinto has any interest in that.
Okay.
It's a Dream Petal Florist.
Yeah. Was. Mowed down.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to kill it, it's kill it with the cube.
Oh, is he thinking of Hunter's marking his own cube here?
That's what I would guess. You only add 2 attack to the board, and there's no silences on the other side, but there is Faceless Manipulator.
So that's the thing he could have done. But is the Faceless... Is it even... I mean, you've got to do it, but...
Oh, yeah, it's 3 12s inside the cube.
Oh, my. Yeah, so Sinto there, he thought about Hunter's Mark. It's a thing he definitely could have done.
I don't think I would have done it. I don't think I would have.
Adam was growling at me now.
I want my cube.
You got it. And the Hunter's Marks can get through the 312s. It just takes a lot longer.
Doesn't attack right away either. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is insane. That draw is going to let Sinto clear both of the Grizzlies and push for 7 more points of damage.
Yeah, Flamekilla just rocks back in his seat there. He's been pretty expressionless throughout both of these matches we've seen him in today, but he's just started to sort of look a little bit resigned. Still has UI to come, though, and this is good, whatever it is, because we didn't see it.
It's something, but he needs more than something. He needs the goods. I don't even know what the goods are right now, but it's not that. And Sinto's running low on gas. If you choose to naturalize to save health here, you're giving him more gas.
Yeah, he's holding on to those naturalizers for that reason for a couple of turns. And Sinto does still have gas in the cube as well, remember. So, well, Flamekiller's going to get to the UI
boy.
turn.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Buckle in.
Oh, still decisions to be made now. He's picked up the high main, though. How do I stop my opponent playing UI? Well, the most efficient remedy normally is to threaten to kill them. That slows them down.
Yeah. I mean, the only way these Grizzlies are going to be gotten through is if Flamekilla puts together the big Malagos swipe combo turn.
Yeah.
That is a long way off.
Here's a lot of stuff.
The Savannah High main a little bit more resilient against Spreading Plague if it were to happen this turn.
And it's not going to happen this turn. And Flamekiller's got a world of trouble now. Well, he's had it for a while, but it's now manifesting. Sintolol. Can he really get to a final?
Can he not right here? I mean, this is...
Right. What's going to go wrong for him this time? Nothing? Oh, Flamekiller.
5 fresh ones coming. I'll tell you what, Spreading Plague Branching Pass is a lot of stuff.
It is.
But Sintolol's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, right up there in lethal land. Not quite enough.
That Twig's not going anywhere, though. Can't afford the life right now. And so Sinto here also with the 5-5 on board, he gets an opportunity to actually trim this board position down to strengthen against Spreading Plague sometimes.
Yeah, so he's going to put the obvious damage into face and make the counting even easier. Not that it's hard. So you can visualize the situation he's weighing up here. He knows there's almost certainly spreading plague after that UI. Yeah. Oh, he's changed his mind at the last second there.
He wants the extra Grizzly. That is the old I don't know.
It's a bit of a tell.
I don't know, maybe it's a quick couple of victory laps with the curse. I don't know. I mean, Sinto feels way ahead. This is a hell of a turn, though.
It sure is.
It's like faceless manipulator the whole board.
Wow.
Sinto's not out of this one just yet.
Yeah, suddenly, once again.
Oh, boy.
Rexar would be rather good.
Yeah, I'm thinking Rexar.
Just kills everything, pretty much.
I'm thinking Cube is pretty good. Sinto's taking the Mossy Harbor to follow up on a second spreading plague here.
Okay. Yeah, he's seen both branching paths, so you're not going to be able to do this to me again.
Those Grizzlies can take a beating and keep on going.
Flamekilla, he's turned into Bear Killer quickly.
Sinto's got to think about the board position here, too. The last minion that's there, you know, this turn, he's not going to be playing Mossy Harbor, so it doesn't really matter that much. But, you know, should that turn start approaching, you need to be able to clear off one of your own minions in order to get through in that scenario.
And that can be awkward with these 9 health as your smallest minion. So leaving a gap is sometimes a thing you do, for sure.
Yeah. Now, the benefit of it is you still have 7 Witchwood Grizzlies in play, if that's the case, but...
There's baby Grizzly on the left. But Flamekilla, for the longest time now, has been out of trickery. He's just like playing the card that stops him dying each turn. He's not getting anywhere.
Nope, it's not progress.
I'm not saying he had other options. It's just...
Yeah, I mean, just so much is gone. The Twig is, you know, in stasis right now, and down to 1 Moonfire, no Spellstones left. Naturalize has been used.
And Sinto still has the Hunter's Mark in case of Lich King emergencies, which is what he's about to face. Okay. Well, still no lethal for Sintol, but he is going to set up just a gigantic plus situation here.
Well, Sinto's in a bit of stasis himself now.
I think because the Hunter's Mark, he's okay.
Well, it's just not really any progress this turn, you know. The fact that Flamekilla is frozen in this spot with a bunch of 3/5 taunts, you're not kind of frozen in this spot with a bunch of 9/3/12 taunts. You'll start to make some headway, but it is going to take time. I mean, not really anything much to do this turn.
Obliterate looks pretty horrible for himself, for Flamekilla.
Yeah.
Not getting much done, but this is okay.
Yeah.
It's just challenging Flamekilla over and over again to beat, you know, find a way to actually beat me and do it quick.
And this was the situation that Sintolol took that Mossy Harbor for.
Yeah.
Said, if there's another spreading plague, I need to get through that stat.
Nice forward thinking.
So the fear for Sinto would have been spreading plague plus anti-magic shell in this scenario. I mean, that's
this is what I cards with you. You always have this situation.
Well, that's
they
the
do
Lich
come
King
up.
thing. I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's why you're kind of afraid of that.
Yeah, of course.
It's not there for him.
You still scare me.
There's just nothing. I don't think Flamekilla can ever do anything here that's relevant. Just more delay.
Yeah, and delaying for what end?
And not necessarily a delay in this spot either. I mean,
yeah, he's struggling to find anything now.
What else can you do?
Not a lot. And again, it's just wedging stuff in the way. Yeah. No, he's trying to make some progress. That's the thing. He's not.
Yeah,
we've been talking about how he's not getting anywhere. Hurting himself may be horrible, but he's not going to win if he doesn't.
Well, he's not going to win here either.
Oh.
That's 12 damage on board. Mossy Harbor, Sintolol, reverse sweep 3-0 with Death Rattle Hunter. He's on to the finals here at Dreamhack Atlanta.
Sintolol, somebody that nearly everybody in the game recognizes, has got another chance to take down a big title, and that is going to be so exciting later on, both for him and for us.
That was a heck of a turnaround. The crowd incredibly hyped during that game number 4, the Hunter versus the Druid, when we had the Quad King Crush turnaround. Very impressive performance from Flamekilla, but Sintolol, with that reverse sweep with the Death Rattle Hunter, is moving on to the finals.
Big stuff.